Everybody enjoys a good fish story, but not everybody is going to enjoy this one. It's a sad little tale about the demise and downfall of one of the greatest bass fisheries in the southwestern United States. We'll tell you what happened, why, and what the future may look like. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors Southwest.
Generally speaking, the men and women at our wildlife departments who are in charge of making important decisions regarding our fisheries do a fantastic job. But when those same men and women miscalculate or make a major mistake, the detrimental effects on any fishery in particular can be devastating. I'd like to welcome you in to Lake Austin. It's a beautiful 20-mile stretch of the Colorado River running right through the southern part of Austin, Texas. Something major has happened here over the last 2 years that has had a tremendous negative impact on the bass fishery here. On this week's episode, we tell you that story, not necessarily to say anything negative about any particular Parks and Wildlife department. Our department here in Texas does a great job in general, but to warn you about what can happen and so that you can keep an eye on your local fishery in your area. While we're doing that, we're taking you around your local region for your favorite fishing reports from your lakes, rivers, and bays in your own backyard from our team of expert insider reporters. We've also got the Coast to Catch of the Week. The Academy Right Stuff will show you some gear and a whole lot more. You're in for some excitement in the next half hour, but right now we get it started back at the FSN studio and your weekend planner.
The Salooner tables are indicating good game fish activity over both days of the weekend. The best daylight action should begin in the mornings at 9:46 on Saturday and 10:29 on Sunday. Look for the sun to rise at 6:39 and set at 8:10. And evenings should be bright with a full moon on Sunday. Stay with us. We'll be right back with freshwater and coastal fishing updates from around the region. Plus, Mike Iaconelli joins us to answer this week's Ask the Pro question about landing big bass.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker. By Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. By Mercury Marine, official outboard of Fox Sports Outdoors. And by Lowrance Electronics, find, navigate, dominate.
There's one right out in front of that dock. Wow, he is cutting up too. All right, we got something. He's not a big fish, but he's a good one to get it going. Come up here. Got him on light tackle here. There we go. Look at the skinniness of that bass right there. Yuck. Well, I'm going to talk to you some more a little bit later about why he's like that. But we are at Lake Austin today and checking out this fishery after really a sad story. I told you at the beginning that everybody likes a good story, but you might not like this story, and I can assure you that I don't like it. Put this bass back. Hopefully he'll go eat something. Well, I was at Lake Austin for my very first trip almost exactly 2 years ago. The first day I ever fished this lake, the first hour, I caught this. A 10-pound, I want to say 10-2, something like that. A double-digit bass, first bass I ever caught at this lake. Caught it out off the end of a dock. Loaded up with grass, tons of hydrilla everywhere. The fish was swimming out off the end of a dock, right off the edge of the hydrilla. Same day, I caught one over 8. I buried that fish up twice. I thought I had lost this fish 2 different times, but my Stren Original held on, and I just horsed that fish up out of a big bunch of grass. They put Asian grass carp in this lake, 35,000 of them shortly after we were here. It's 2 years later. There is not a blade of grass anywhere up and down the 20-some-odd mile length of this lake. The grass carp have literally wiped out every piece of aquatic vegetation in the water. These things get up to 50 pounds each, and they can eat something like 7 or 8 pounds of vegetation in one day. So that gets us going. We're started, we're rolling today, telling the story. Let's get you some local fishing and lake reports.
Well, we finally got to that time of year we've all been waiting for, good springtime fishing here in Oklahoma. And again, it's more about what you're doing versus where you're going, because the fishing is good at so many places across the state at this time. Many of you might remember the name Charles Jewell as the angler who caught the new Lake Murray record bass earlier this year. Charles has been keeping me updated on the bass fishing at Murray and Arbuckle, says both lakes are really good at this time. For Murray, he suggests throwing a small watermelon pepper worm or a skirted twin-tailed grub. Arbuckle, he's catching those fish. He and his fishing partner Tom Dempsey catching good numbers of 3 to 5 pounders, concentrating on the wind-swept flats, main lake areas 5 to 7 foot deep, throwing a small swim bait on a single swim bait jig head. Charles, appreciate those reports. Bass fishing at Grand remains on fire. Lots of fish in and around the spawning areas. You can catch those fish out in front of those areas, casting blind, dragging that biffle bug on a hard head. Crappie fishing remains great at many places across the state. If you're not catching them shallow on the body of water you're fishing, don't be afraid to move out deeper, as deep as 12 to 15 feet. Lots of really good reports just in the last few days of many big females being caught as they stage to move into those shallows, being caught in that deeper water. Now those fish seem to be reacting better to a horizontal presentation right now, which is great news for you bank fishermen. That means you can get in front of those spawning areas, make a cast out toward the open water, slow reel it back in. You boat fishermen, you can catch those fish with a horizontal presentation by strolling with your trolling motor. Great time of year to be fishing in Oklahoma, but one thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
As we head to a quick break, here are great fish photos from some of our viewers. These were not winners in the Coast to Catch of the Week contest, but they're great fish nonetheless. There's one. Bite me down there, you rascal. Boy, he was down there deep too. Not big, but that'll work. There's a little chunky bass for you right there. Hey, welcome back everybody. We're on Austin Lake, telling the really sad story of what happens when you put too many Asian grass carp in a fishery and they eat up all the vegetation. That's just a little bit of a skinny fish right there, nothing big. We'll let him go back. Let's talk a little bit about why the fish get skinny and why they lose some of their fat healthiness when grass and aquatic vegetation is killed out or eaten out by grass carp. And what it does is it makes it harder for the fish to feed. There's plenty of bait fish in this lake and there's plenty of bass, but the problem is there's not a lot of ambush points. That grass, when it was here, provides lots of little cuts and little coves and little drop-offs and little points sticking out. It's not even, it was very uneven. Hydrella's always that way. And it gives those bass a place to hide right up next to a little grass ledge and then run out and grab an ambush bait as it swims by. Shad, minnows, crawfish, anything that swims by. When you lose that cover, the fish really become nomadic. It's harder for the fish to feed and they can't just fatten up and grow as fast as they would otherwise when there's cover. So here's a little piece of advice. Keep tabs on your wildlife department. Find out if they're putting grass carp in your state, in your county, in your region, and make your voice heard and let them know that you oppose especially large numbers of these grass carp put in. They can really devastate a fishery. Let's get you some more fishing and lake reports from where you live.
Hi folks, this week's Lone Star Lakes is brought to you once again by the 11th annual Legend of Lake Fork Big Bass Tournament, reminding you that all makes and models of boat are welcome. The tournament will be May 15, 16, and 17 on legendary Lake Fork. Now this week we're coming to you from the Doctors Creek unit of Cooper Lake Park. Now, you've got to know, the water has come up an incredible amount. You can see shots from last year that will illustrate this very clearly on your screen. And the fishing has also come up to a fantastic level. Your hybrid striper fishermen are going to want to fish off Miller's Point and Pelican Point and the humps and ridges that are just offshore from those areas, and you can find them on almost any good map or your electronics. Use your Sassy Shad with a lead head or your jigging spoons to work these hybrid stripers. Bass fishermen are going to want to go up into Johns Creek or Doctors Creek and throw your standard shallow water bass lures like your watermelon red Cincos, your spinnerbaits, even some traps, and of course Texas rig worm. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by the Legend of Lake Fort Big Bass Tournament on Lake Fort, paying out 8 places each hour each day, and with 5 Legend boats up for grabs. All are welcome to come and fish. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, Texas Outdoors Journal brings you this week's report, and our May issue is now on sale on newsstands with some late spring fresh and saltwater fishing updates and features, plus a solid lineup of hunting articles. Pick up a copy of Texas Outdoors Journal on newsstands or subscribe at texasoutdoorsjournal.com or call 800-222-4TOJ. Well, warmer water and rising tides are what upper coast anglers are dealing with. On Sabine as well as Galveston, fish the lower end of those bays, and if necessary, fish deeper water to get under the fresh water. Around Freeport, higher tides has more water in the marsh. Fish topwater lures and soft plastics on light jig heads near flooded grass. The reefs and south shoreline of East Matagorda, plus the grass beds out of West Matagorda, are places to wade for trout and scattered reds. San Antonio Bay reefs, as well as the shoreline of Mexiquita and Ayers Bay near Cedar Bayou, are seeing increased numbers of trout being caught. Around Mud Island, Allen's Bight, Dagger, and Stedman's, as well as East Flats, are all good places to catch trout and reds. Estes Flats and Packery Flats have also given up reds and drum on windy days. Anglers are rattling up fish on the upper Laguna Madre. Live and dark-colored artificial baits have worked in stained waters. A good bite's underway south of Port Mansfield all the way to Three Islands. Away from the mouth of the Arroyo, good trout have also been caught. Further south from Holly Beach to Airport Cove, good speckled trout have been caught on live shrimp under a popping cork. The east side of the Intercoastal Waterway out of Port Isabel has been giving up good specks on shrimp or soft plastics. This weekend, both Saturday and Sunday have a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides each day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. Buy Lose, setting a new standard of fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. And by Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability.
Come here, buddy. All right, well, it looks like what we're catching today is those right there. Welcome back, everybody. We're still on Lake Austin, and look how skinny that fish is right there. Just really unhealthy. All right, we've got a big wave coming. And this is one of the things, if you're coming to this lake, that you're gonna have to deal with are these huge waves like this. From ski boats, jet skis, pleasure boats, all kinds of stuff. I was actually laying in bed last night. Fishermen think about fishing when they're dreaming. But I was thinking about where these fish might be. If the grass is gone, and over there on that shallow side of the lake, where the 8-10 foot sand flats are, that's where all the hydrilla used to be. If that's all gone, where's the next best place that a fish could go? Well, the first place would be a dock, and there's docks just lining this lake on both sides, and there are a lot of fish that get caught off docks. But the other thing I thought of was over here on the opposite deep side of the lake, you've got a lot of deep rocky banks with some cypress trees on them. You can see these right here behind us, and that's the next best cover they can find. So right there up against the bank, it's real shallow, and then it falls straight off, and I'm looking at 20 feet of water. I saw one of the Bassmaster Pro anglers that was living in this area, fishing here just a few weeks ago, caught a 12-4 on a big swim bait, just on this kind of cover right here on the rock ledge, deep side of the lake. That's where most of the fish seem to be hanging out, but I can't get a good one to bite. I'll keep after it and see what happens. While I'm doing that though, you get some more fishing and lake reports.
Hi friends, Cajun Phil here with your Fox Louisiana Fishing Report. I tell you what, this week I'm going to do the whole report because Captain Kevin, he's down around Lafitte, Louisiana, preparing for the big HT Series tournament. I tell you what, he called and he said, Phil, they're catching fish just about everywhere over here around Lafitte. He said from Houma to Lafitte, Delacroix, Hopedale, Shell Beach. He said the water is pretty, and he said they're catching lots of redfish. Gold spoons are working really well in the shallow ponds. Also spinner baits, whenever you can get away from the grass, spinner baits with a LSU colored plastic behind it's working good. He's been throwing a weighted hook with just a big old K-wiggler behind it. He's pulling it across the grass. He's getting monster explosions every day. As far as the bass action goes, the Atchafalaya Basin, that's been high and muddy for a long time. They're going way back off of the main bayou there in the Atchafalaya Basin, getting back in some of these further back parts as we're talking about. They're throwing spinner baits and catching lots of small bass. Nothing big, a lot of 2 to 3 pound bass right now. Fish is going to pick up each and every week, Finn. Just stick with us. It's going to be great here if we just stop getting all of this rain, get some sunshine. And I tell you what, it's trying to peep out right now. Tell you what, till next week, this is Cajun Phil for Captain Kevin saying happy fishing. May God bless you. We're going to see you next week, and make sure and tune in Sunday morning, 6 a.m. right here on Fox, and watch Outdoors and Fishing with Cajun Phil and Captain Kevin.
There's one. They are feisty. There he is. Got it. All right, well, there's one more, and that is another skinny, unhealthy looking fish. Well, we're about to wrap it up, and I want to tell you something. It has been one frustrating couple of days right here on Lake Austin. That's just the typical fish for what we've caught. That's a 2.5 pound fish that should weigh about 3.5. And he's just very skinny. And what we found here is you've got to do one of two things. If you want to just get bit, just catch a few fish, then you can do that just by throwing a little spinning rod, and you can throw a little grub or a swim bait. I'll show you some of this here in just a second on the Academy Right Stuff. If you want to try to catch a big fish though, and there's a few big fish still swimming around, you can do that on a big swim bait. And I'll show you a shot here. I ran across a young man here who's here actually visiting from California here in Austin, and he did tell us that he's catching a few big fish here. He's showing you one here that he caught today, caught it on a big swim bait, but you have to be so patient. You can fish all day long throwing that swim bait up against the shoreline, up against these rocks, and you might get 2 or 3 bites all day long, but it's probably going to be a better quality fish. Here's the hope for the future though. These grass carp only live about 5 years. That's their lifespan. They've already been in here a couple of years. So in about another 3 years, these things will start dying off. Hopefully they won't stock anymore. And then maybe some of this hydrilla and grass can begin growing back in this lake. And when it does, I think these fish will fatten up. They'll become a little easier to catch. And I think the fishery will come back.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Motor Guide Trolling Motors. Introducing the XI5 for ultimate boat control. By Fort Worth Nissan. Fox Sports Outdoors is powered by Fort Worth Nissan. And by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro segment, where viewers get expert insights from professional anglers. This week's question comes from Rob, who asks, what are some tips for landing a monster bass? For the answer, we checked with 2006 Angler of the Year, Mike Iaconelli.
There's a lot of tips. I tell you, the one I have is I actually use the boat to help land the fish. A lot of times a big fish, he's either going to get away in the very beginning or when it gets close to the boat. You know, everybody, your heart's pumping, you're nervous, gets near the boat. That's your best chance of losing that fish. I actually use the boat as a shield. You know, you hear a lot about letting the fish dive. I purposely want that fish to get under my boat. And when I get under the boat, he looks up and he doesn't have that tendency to jump because he sees something over his head. So he fights softer, he doesn't jump. And then once I get him toward the top, I actually pin that fish to the boat. So I'm using my boat as a landing tool.
Thanks, Mike. If you have something to ask one of the pros, simply visit our website and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit your question. Now someone's going to win a new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
Each week, someone wins free Costa sunglasses here on the Costa Catch of the Week. This week's winner is Randy Kell of Sabalo, Texas, showing a 28-inch speckled trout he caught out of the famous Baffin Bay on the Texas Gulf Coast. And I want you to look at the width and the weight of this fish. This is truly one specimen of a speckled trout. If you'd like a chance to win your own free pair of Costa sunglasses, you can do that on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Click in the Costa Catch of the Week area on the right side of the front page. Follow the instructions. Send us your big fish picture. You might be our next winner. And you can see all of the Costa frame and lens styles. The Costa website, go back to the front page of our site, click on the Costa logo, take you straight to their site. You can see everything there, including the frame style I was wearing on this week's episode called Manta. Next up on the Academy Right Stuff, it's the right gear. If you'd like to come to Lake Austin and catch some of these fish, you need to make a choice. As we mentioned, you can either go light with a spinning rod, catch some of the smaller fish. This is the Lew's Custom Series Speed Stick. This is the Magnum spinning rod. Or if you want to throw the big swim bait, you go with the bigger, heavier 7.5 foot Lew's Custom Series Speed Stick. This is the Magnum casting rod. We'll show you the 3 baits that we use today. First of all, to catch the smaller fish on the spinning outfit, we used a Jean LaRue Rally Grub. That's the grub at the bottom left. And we also used a little Jean LaRue Tattletale Worm at the top of your screen. We Texas rigged that. Then the bottom right is the big swim bait. That's a big, I think it's 1.5 ounces swim bait, and it's about 6 inches long. This week's Stuff That Matters comes with a little bit of a disclaimer. Now, you may well know, if you follow the sport of professional bass fishing, about Randy Howell's big come-from-behind win, the 2014 Bassmasters Classic at Guntersville Lake in Alabama. But what you may not know is the real backstory as to how it happened. The disclaimer is this: if you're easily offended by someone's faith in God, you probably don't want to watch this. But if you'd like to see something really captivating, you can see the entire story in a video that we've posted on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. And then after it leaves the front page, it will always be available in the how-to video section. You can link to that, past episodes, and more video here on the front page of our website. I hope you enjoyed our trip today to Lake Austin. It's a little bit of a sad story as to what's happened here in the last 2 years. The fishery is definitely struggling. However, some of these grass carp die out over the next few years and they're not restocked. I think the fishery will improve when the grass starts coming back. Hey, don't forget to join us for next week's episode. We'll be on in our normal time slot at 10:30 p.m. on Thursday, with the repeat airing Saturday morning at 7:30. And you can always see the latest episode of our show 24/7 right on the front page of our website. You can also get lots of free gear and see all the latest fish pictures and fish videos that you'll never see here on the show on our Twitter feed, the Twitter address you see there on your screen. We're also up on Facebook with lots of photos, videos, and fishing information as well. From Lake Austin, Texas, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.